Today, we'll be using data to discover root causes. The Office of School Support and School Improvement wants to share some information and processes in order to effectively use data to prioritize your site's school improvement needs. Today, just relax and focus on the process. So think about the process and how you might be able to use these processes to identify root causes. A lesson learned about U.S. school improvement efforts. Prioritize a few areas on which to work, keeping the main thing the main thing. Less to focus on makes the work more manageable and impactful. And this is from Focus Schools 2018, working with district school leaders to transform teaching and learning. In our experiences, we know that designated sites will have multiple challenges or barriers. However, every perceived challenge or barrier cannot be adequately addressed. Thus, it is important to determine a focus on a few areas rather than trying to put a Band-Aid on everything and becoming frustrated in our efforts. Some guiding questions to consider. Firstly, how can we use data and root cause analysis to gain a deeper understanding of the issue we want to improve? Secondly, how can we identify high-leverage ideas to guide our next steps? Our agenda: review relevant data analysis topics, use mock data to learn processes, identify red flags, determine root causes, triangulate data, and generate change ideas. The importance of data analysis. Data should be used as a tool to help distinguish fact from opinion, to allow key questions to be answered, to determine areas of need for planning, and to inform decision making. Just collecting data isn't enough. We need to effectively use it. And quantitative data helps us answer questions such as how many, how often, which students. Qualitative data can inform how well we did something, how teachers feel about an issue, how parents react to our efforts and actions. Data analysis is important in many facets of our work as educators. So drilling down to the root cause. Here's a definition of root cause: the fundamental reason for the occurrence of a problem. So when investigating a problem through data analysis, we need to drill down to what's actually causing the concern. We must keep in mind these characteristics of addressable root causes throughout our school improvement planning and implementation. So some characteristics of targeted root cause for school improvement. What's within our control? Specific and underlying. Worth our collective effort. Discoverable by data analysis. Crucial to informed decision making. When addressed, improvements expected. To improve student success, we must do more than treat symptoms. Root causes of problems must be identified and addressed to make sustainable changes. A simple example is shin splints. It is easy to take some ibuprofen to address the pain, but are you really doing anything to address the problem? The problem or root cause may be your shoes, insoles, overexertion, or even technique. The ibuprofen or a good tape job addresses the symptom, but not the root cause. You still have shin splints. So now let's think about a possible school problem, such as discipline referrals. Possible root causes might be inexperienced teachers, lack of behavioral structures or procedures, change in demographics, scheduling issues, etc. This diagram illustrates how we will dig down into data sources, identify a problem, symptoms, and possible root cause. So we begin the process of determining root cause by identifying concerns we'll call red flags raised by examining data. So compose red flag statements. Individually review mock school-wide data picture and make written observations such as, I notice. Focus on data concerns, trends, not causes. Write separate observations on different Post-its. Share observations as a team. Group similar observations Post-its as a red flag. Determine the two groups that have the most red flags. And for each of those two groups, write a red flag statement. For example, reading scores decrease as students move from lower to higher grades. Determination of root cause, the 5 whys process. We're going to share 2 different processes to determine root causes. Hopefully this will provide insight about 2 possible ways to consider that best fit your needs. The first process is called the 5 whys. The 5 whys process was developed in the 1930s by the founder of Toyota. Its most effective use is in technical problem solving, but has spread to use in other areas, including education. Pros and cons of the 5 whys process. The pros: quick and easy to learn, to use, a systematic team approach. Challenges assumptions, most effective for simple or moderately difficult problems, and it considers one possible cause and related reasons. The downside, it's a tendency to stop short of true root cause, and results are not always repeatable. So here's an example of the 5 whys process for root cause analysis. Our red flag statement: 65% of the school's special education students did not achieve the proficient level on 2017-18 OSTP assessments. So we would start with the questioning, why is this happening? Well, the special education students are not acquiring grade level knowledge. And this would be followed with why. Teachers aren't meeting the needs of these students. Well, why is that? We have only 2 special education teachers for all grade levels. Well, why? Well, general education and special education teachers don't collaborate. Well, why is that? There is no time in the schedule for collaboration. And there we have our root cause. But a caveat to always remember, if the ending statement is beyond your control, focus on the previous answer as the root cause. And also, the name of this process is the 5 whys, but it could very well take more than 5 whys or less than. It's just the name of the process. Another way to determine root cause, the influencer diagram process. This is adapted from a protocol by High Tech High GSF Center for Research on Equity and Innovation via the University of Pittsburgh IFL Learning Forward 2018 presentation. Using this process, we consider multiple categories of data-based observations to uncover root causes of challenges in our schools, rather than beginning school improvement work by only addressing the symptoms. This is the end product. I'm going to model the process step by step. The pros and cons of the influencer diagram process. It considers all possible causes of a complex problem, determines if one possible cause influences another, forces a choice to be made, reveals power among related causes. It's a systematic team approach. Some cons: more steps than the 5 whys, more time to learn and use. So step 1, brainstorm possible causes. Individually brainstorm possible causes within the control of the district or school personnel that may contribute to the problem. Write each cause on a different Post-it. Take turns sharing causes among your team. Group similar causes together on a poster. Then give each group of causes a title, such as curriculum, instruction, classroom assessment, professional development, school culture. Here are some brainstorming examples. The red flag statement is reading scores decrease as students move from lower to higher grade levels. So some possible causes might be inexperienced teachers, curriculum not standards-based, poor attendance, large class sizes, ineffective intervention, low expectations, lack of family support, limited professional learning opportunities, minimal progress monitoring, student data not used to drive instruction, assessment tools not aligned to OAS, individual needs unaddressed, no benchmarking, curricular gaps, no teacher collaboration time, infrequent PLC meetings, lessons not connected to students' lives, interests, or the real world, instructional strategies not evidence-based. After each person writes possible causes on Post-it notes, the next step is to group or categorize the causes. In other words, give the causes a title. Curriculum, instruction, school culture, professional development, classroom assessment. Now I'm going to model the influencer diagram process. Record your red flag statement and then place the titles of your causes in a clockwise format. Once you've placed those on your poster, then number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, based on the information on your Post-it notes, you're going to determine which one of these titles has more influence or impact on the other. If there's a relationship, you're going to draw a straight line. If there's not, then no line will be drawn. Once you determine if there's a relationship and draw a line, then you discuss which is more impactful on the other. If there's a relationship between curriculum and instruction, draw a straight line. Remember, if there's not a relationship, no line will be drawn. Then have the discussion of which is more impactful on the other. Is curriculum more impactful on instruction or instruction on curriculum? And remember, this is based on the information on your Post-it notes and the reality of your site. Once you determine which is more impactful or which pushes into the other, you place an arrow on the end of the line. Now remember, an arrow can only go one way. It's just like a one-way street. Now we'll go from curriculum to school culture. We've determined there's a relationship, so a line will be drawn. Then we'll discuss which is more impactful or which pushes into the other more forcefully. And curriculum pushes into school culture. Then we'll advance to professional development and have the same conversation. The arrowhead is pushing into professional development. And then we go on, lastly, to classroom assessment. A relationship is formed, a line's drawn, the arrowhead is placed on the end of the line. So curriculum pushes into classroom assessment. So this is the first round. Then we'll move to instruction and have the same conversation about which impacts the other more forcefully, and then determine where to put the arrowhead. And then we'll do instruction to professional development, instruction to classroom assessment, and then we'll move to school culture. School culture, there's a relationship to professional development, and it pushes into school culture. And then professional development, is there a relationship between it and classroom assessment? And we've determined that professional development pushes into classroom assessment. For each title, we now want to count the number of lines that go out and the number of lines that push in. So for curriculum, we have 4 out, 0 in. For instruction, we have 2 out, 2 in. For school culture, we have 0 out and 4 in. And for professional development, 3 out and 1 in. And for classroom assessment, 1 out and 3 in. When looking at this example, you'll notice that curriculum has 4 out and 0 in, so that would be a root cause. One that's very close to it is professional development with 3 out and 1 in. So there are 2 possible root causes identified. The others may be considered as symptoms. Generate change ideas. This protocol is adapted from Learning Forward 2018 presentation by the University of Pittsburgh Institute for Learning. What could you try that would impact root causes? Review 1 or 2 root causes from your root cause analysis. Brainstorm individually. Write 1 change idea per Post-it. As a team, chart change ideas on the effort versus impact matrix. Take turns sharing, grouping similar ideas as you go. Choose high leverage change ideas. Start with high impact, low effort. Work toward high impact, high effort. Don't discount low impact, low effort, or high impact and low effort. These may very well be quick wins that will motivate the team and will encourage the team to implement some high impact and high effort strategies. Take a quick look at the diagram and note that low impact, high effort would be very probably time consuming and a lot of hard work with little impact for what you wanted to achieve. Triangulation analysis. It's important to use more than 2 data sources and to triangulate the analysis of each source. Why triangulate data? Use of more than 2 data sources collection methods helps validate results, deepens and widens understanding of different aspects of the issue, minimizes measurement sampling and procedural bias. Similar findings corroborate. Different findings facilitate refinement of results. Here's an example of processes used to prioritize local needs. The school-wide data picture, stakeholder survey results, and the 9 essential elements reporting form. With the school-wide data picture, you would compose a red flag statement, conduct 5 whys or the influencer process, determine a root cause, stakeholder surveys, compose red flag statement, conduct 5 whys or influencer process, determine root cause, and for the 9EE reporting form, you would use your index scores. Use guiding questions for triangulation analysis to help generate change ideas, develop SMART goals, and design action steps. If you have any questions about these processes, please feel free to contact the Office of School Support and Improvement. We will be glad to help you.